Welcome back for part 2 of unconditional parenting. We're going to finish up with the essential tenets of unconditional parenting from Alfie Kahn's book. And again, I highly encourage you to read this book. It is well worth it. And really, Kahn is a real revolutionary in our field and has published many, many, many great books. But this is one in particular that I can't stop talking about. So the next point that Kahn makes is to be authentic. Be yourself. Let your humanity show. Admit your mistakes and apologize for them. If we really want to teach children democratic life skills and how to be productive members of a society, then we need to show them that it's okay to make mistakes and to admit those mistakes and be gentle with yourself, because likely no one is judging you harder than you judge yourself. And if we can just be a little more gentle on ourselves and show the world that we are flawed and that's okay, goes a really long way. And then that also allows us to be vulnerable and to see that we are willing to critique ourselves and we're willing to have others critique us respectfully as well. And then we want to favor the connections, favor the relationship, favor connecting over keeping control. The more we try to hold on to control, the more we will lose connection and relationship with others. So at the end of the last at the end of part 1, the last slide there was respect, right? And there was a little image that I had on there of give respect, get respect, which allows you to give respect back. But we really need to start with giving respect, and part of giving respect is to build that relationship and favor the connections over the control. Oftentimes I'll say to children, we have a problem here, and I have an idea for how to solve it, but I want you to tell me what you think will resolve it. Because sometimes the ideas they come up with are even simpler than I would have come up with. And I show them that I don't need to keep control I don't need to keep control. Instead, I need them to connect and to be engaged with me and with the community. This one's a hard one for me. I've been working on it my whole career. I'm going to keep working on it, which is talk less and ask more. In some cases, talk less, listen more. And going back to admitting mistakes, I see a mistake here on my last bullet, be quiet and be present. So I'm going to start there since I noticed my typo. My apologies. Sometimes being very present, but being very quiet can be very powerful. It's amazing how much children will speak when adults stop talking. So, chew on that. But there's some other things to think about as well. Provoke ideas and thoughts, don't dictate them. Ask what children's thoughts are. Ask what children's ideas are. Pose hypothetical questions and listen to what comes back. Search for that source of the problem. Ask questions. Don't postulate that you know, even though you probably do, but put it out there and wonder. And then avoid the questions that you already know the answers to. Now, there are rhetorical questions. I sometimes put them out there and say, gosh, I wonder what you're thinking right now. And the child may or may not tell me. But what I'm getting to here is don't ask questions that you know the answer to. Like, is it okay to hit your friends? No, it's not. And the answer of yes is only going to make you mad, right? So those are the kinds that I'm talking about in this case that you want to avoid. You want to always attribute the best possible motive. And I think this is a great rule for life. We can all think of the person who feels like the world is out to get them all of the time. Those people aren't always fun. They're often not fun to be around. But when you think about the person who always looks on the bright side of life, it's much nicer to be around that person. The world is a sunshinier place. So we want to be careful not to assume someone's intentions. We want to make sure we give the child the benefit of the doubt. And even if we don't say it, we project our assumptions, and it impacts how we treat others, and it impacts how they treat us back. When people think we are assuming negative intentions, there's some research that shows that we actually subconsciously fulfill that for them. So we really want to project to others that we believe in them. And we want to make sure that we're not sticking to the no's that are not necessary to stick to. So here the idea really is to say yes, to have a yes philosophy. Because saying yes is not the same thing as permissiveness. We want to make sure that we don't make no our default position. And that was my default position for a long time when I was teaching. And when I went to grad school in an internship program, we actually had a rule that you were not allowed to tell children no. Didn't mean that children got to do everything they wanted. You just couldn't say the word no. There was a ban on the word no. And the reason is that it forced us to think about why something was right or wrong or correct or incorrect or allowable or not, and then give a reason. So if a child stood on the shelf, we couldn't say, no, don't do that, get down. Instead, we would have to say, I'm really worried that when you're on that shelf, you might fall and hurt someone, hurt yourself or someone else. Let me help you get down. So what I'm saying is it's not okay to have that behavior, but I'm not saying no. That's really powerful here. And what goes along with this is force yourself to find a compelling reason to say no instead of yes. I actually had a teacher do this, that she had some real climbers and jumpers in her classroom. So she made a space where children could jump into pillows off one of the shelves. And that was the one place in the classroom that they could actually do it. And so she found a reason to say yes instead of no. And within a few weeks' time, that area wasn't used anymore and they could turn it back into I can't remember what it was now, but whatever it was. And the children just stopped jumping off shelves. So the phase went away and she found, she defaulted to yes and avoided the no. We want to avoid being rigid. So we talked about in the problem-solving mistaken behaviors screencast that consistency is important. Consistency is not the same as rigidity. Consistency is about continuing to be a present, contemplative, thoughtful person. It doesn't mean that you always have the same no's and the same yeses. One of the things that happens to us is that we get fearful. We get fearful if we say yes today, we have to say yes tomorrow. Children know that there are no blanket rules in the world. They know that rules change and are situational, and we need to show them that we understand that too. So we need to allow for appropriate spontaneity. So predictability is good, but being to the point of inflexibility, that's really not good. And it leads children to not trust us to make good decisions based on the information in front of us. So we want to make sure that our predictability makes sense and that we have good reasons for our expectations. We also need to slow down and consider time in everything we do. I really love this quote from Alice in Wonderland: the hurrier I go, the behinder I get. There's a couple of big points here. One is that we want to avoid situations that trigger unwanted behavior. If we decide that we really need to power through and get to the grocery store, and it's almost nap time, but I really got to get to the grocery store, otherwise I'm not going to get there today. And we take our kid there and they should have had a nap, and then they want that sugary cereal and we say no, and then they have a meltdown. That's not on them, right? That's on us for not considering that child's needs, that the nap time is more important than the grocery shopping and that we didn't plan well. Then we need to find another way to do it, right? We need to go after nap. We need to go when our partner is home and can be with the child. We need to get a babysitter. We need to go together with the child after nap, whatever it is, but we need to plan differently. We also need to plan for transitions in our classrooms. We oftentimes rush through the critical moments where we can all slow down and learn something and talk through and be present and be contemplative and be reflective in the moment because we just have to get to the next thing. The more time we take planning for those transitions and being in that moment, the better we will be at reaching those long-term democratic life skill outcomes. That brings us to the end of our unconditional parenting and teaching part 2 screencast.